Virtually everyone who drives a vehicle, from the family car to the largest tractor trailer, has experienced a close call. That moment when a split-second decision, a skillful reaction, or just plain good luck prevents a disaster from occurring. Whether the close call is a result of roadway conditions, equipment failure, or human error, as a professional driver, you can prepare yourself for these types of situations by developing your decision-making and your defensive driving skills. In this program, we'll cover how to anticipate trouble on the road before it arises and what to look for in order to recognize potentially dangerous situations. And in the event you need to perform an emergency maneuver, we'll discuss how to avoid a crash and how to recover from an emergency maneuver safely. From your earliest driver training, you've likely heard of the term defensive driving. Defensive driving is defined by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration as preventing accidents by trying to anticipate hazardous situations and adjusting your behavior to compensate. Maneuvering to avoid hazards puts a lot of strain on your equipment, especially things like your tires, brakes, and steering system. During your pre-trip inspection, it is important that all the parts you rely on for slowing down, swerving, and stopping are in good working order before you hit the road.
Defensive driving to me is watching out for the other driver. You have to watch for the car that's cutting in on you. You have to watch for conditions in the road.
Defensive driving starts from the moment you get into your truck. You're being aware of what's going on around you. You're looking for challenges, opportunities, hazards, anything that you can see.
Backing off on speed, keeping an eye on things, watching your side mirrors in front of you, staying back far enough, watching the vehicles behind you.
Just paying attention to your surroundings at all times. You know, you might have barrels, it could be other cars, some in your blind spots, some not. It's that important to look everywhere.
In order to avoid a crash, you'll need to know your escape route before you need to use it. As you mentally answer those what-if questions, envision the safest route for dodging trouble. This might mean changing lanes, driving onto the shoulder, or standing on the brakes to execute an emergency stop. In most situations, slowing down and changing lanes should be your preferred escape route. To do so safely, you'll need to start the maneuver as soon as you see the hazard. This means you need to know what's beside you at all times, so check your mirrors often. Steer only as much as you need to. Oversteering can cause a skid, jackknife, or rollover. The less you have to steer, the more likely you are to maintain control. If you observe an oncoming vehicle in your lane early enough, flashing your lights and sounding the horn may be enough to alert the driver to notice the danger and return to their lane. If your only option is moving one way or another, steering to the right is the best choice. Even if doing so forces another driver onto the shoulder, moving to the right helps to avoid a head-on collision. By scanning at least 12 to 15 seconds ahead of you, you should see a stationary vehicle early enough to stop your tractor trailer. If you can't stop, slowing and steering to the right, either to the adjacent lane or the shoulder, is the best escape route, even if it forces another vehicle onto the shoulder. On a multi-lane road, steering into the adjacent lane on the left may be an option as well. But beware of your surroundings. If there's someone in the left lane, you could force that vehicle into oncoming traffic, making a bad situation even worse. If you ask any professional driver about emergency maneuvers and close calls, chances are good you'll hear a personal story. That's because at some point in their careers, most drivers either experience or observe a close call. To keep close calls from becoming crashes, it's imperative you're able to anticipate trouble on the road before it arises and know what to look for in order to recognize potentially dangerous situations. And in the event you need to perform an emergency maneuver, It's important to know how to avoid a crash and how to recover from an emergency maneuver safely. Hopefully, you'll never need to execute an emergency maneuver to avoid a crash. But if you ever find yourself in a situation where you do, you should know how to stay safe out there.